Hello viewers, good to have you on this channel at this time. Today, we're responding to your request that we should try to look at some theory questions on this subject. And that is what we are doing today. We are looking at likely GCE theory questions on the subject government. Please sit back and let's have it together. The first question we're looking at today for GCE question is explain the term political socialization and discuss 5 agents responsible for it. This is one question but with 2 edges, and then you're expected to present 2 answers. 1, you explain political socialization, and 2, you discuss the 5 agents that enhance or brings about the political socialization. Okay? Now, prelude to socialization is what they call political culture. Political culture has to do with the orientation, the belief of your political system. What did you hear? What did you know? What were you told? What are you seeing? What are you feeling about your political system? That is political culture. Okay? Now, when we say political socialization, it has to be the process of transmitting your orientation, your belief system from one generation to another. Now, some things happen in the past, in the time of your great-grandfather. Then your great-grandfather will tell your grandfather, your grandfather will tell your father. Now your father is telling you about your village, about your community, about your culture, about your tradition, about your belief, about your society, about Nigeria. Nigeria is your political system. And as you are growing up to you to start having your children, start telling them. That process of carrying those information from generation to generation is called political socialization. Let's look at it. So political socialization is a process through which citizens acquired knowledge, political knowledge, attitude, and values. You acquire it. You get to know about it. What do you know about Nigerian government, about Nigerian political system, about Nigerian political space, about Nigerian economic system? What do you know? How do you know it? This is political socialization. How you acquired, how you get to know. Very important. Okay? The values of Nigerian system. Nigeria is your own system, your own political system. Now, what are those agents that help us to acquire this, to know this, to learn this? The first thing first is the home, the family. Whatever a child becomes, whatever a child learns, start from where? From the home, from the family. It's from the family that you start learning early in life about your political system. It is not organized as such. It is not formal. It is informal. You hear your parents make a discourse about Nigerian system, your uncles and their friends, your aunts. They talk about what is going on in the society, current affairs. This is how you hear, you pick. You may not be put in a school system set up and formally explaining things. No, you just pick them along the line. It's an informal way of acquiring your political socialization, your political culture, family. And after the family, then you start what we call peer group, your play group, your age mate. As you grow together, you play, and as you play, somebody is telling you this is what to do in our house. My auntie had a wedding, and this is what happened in our village. My daddy did this, my mommy did that in our house, and all this kind of stuff. Peer group, age group. As you grow, you are learning about the system, either of yours, of other people in the society. And then we have the school. As you grow up, you start your school, and as you get to school, your teacher starts teaching you so many things, the civic responsibilities, your rights, your duties, teach you about government, teach you about social studies, institutions of state, and what have you. You are learning, you are acquiring socialization. The school. The next is the mass media. Wow. Now we have all of them. WhatsApp, Yahoo, what do you call it, email, YouTube, Instagram, what have you, name it. Now where you can learn about the society, where you can acquire culture, you can acquire skills, you can acquire knowledge and attitude and values in different areas of life. These are agents of political socialization. What about religious houses? Religious institutions, you go to church, you see they conduct weddings, you see the receptions, you see they conduct harvests, maybe in your church, they have programs, you are taught morals, you are taught the way of God, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim or what have you. Forget about the extremists at the moment. All these are processes of acquiring political socialization. I believe you know what socialization is right now. Okay? Very well. The next question we're looking at is this. Identify 5 features of federal system of government. In one of our earliest videos on this channel, we discuss the system of government, where we explain unitary, federal, confederal, presidential, parliamentary, monarchy, and republican governments. So this is one of them, federal system. So WAEC is asking you to identify the features. What are features? Features are characteristics. Features are elements. That's another word you use. So what are the elements of a federal system? What is a federal system? You got to know that first. A federal system is a system of government where there is formal division, or it's a formal sharing of what? What are you sharing? Political power, or you call it governmental power. Between who and who? The central government and, of course, the component units. What is the central government? The federal government. What is a component unit? The constituent unit, the federating unit. It could be regions, it could be states, it could be local governments. So when there's sharing of power officially by the Constitution or from the Constitution between this component of government, we call it a federal system of government. All right? So let's try to look at this system. Oh, fortunately for us, that is the system we're operating in Nigeria today, federal system of government. And that's when Nigeria is referred to as what? Federal Republic of Nigeria. So let's see. From the definition I just gave to you, the fundamental feature of federalism is the division of power. Governmental powers, political powers are divided between the central and, of course, the component. I would prefer to use the word component units or federating units or constituent units, because it's not necessary for it to be a regional government. It could be like we have now. We used to have regional before until 1967 when states were created. Now the component units are what? States and local governments. So that's why I will not prefer to use regional. I will use what? Constituent unit or federating unit or component units. Then there must be a written and, of course, a rigid constitution. Why? Every written constitution is what? Is rigid in nature. A written constitution is one that is composed in one document. And once it's composed in one document, it is rigid. The word rigid constitution does not mean it cannot be changed. It means it can be changed, but the process of changing it is cumbersome, it's difficult. Okay, very well. So we have a written and a rigid constitution, so that none of the component units can just change any part of the constitution overnight. There must be due process between the central National Assembly and, of course, the State House of Assemblies. Okay? Then we have supremacy of the Constitution. Why must the Constitution be supreme? Because it is the Constitution that distributed the powers, that shared or that divided these powers between the component units, both the central and the states. So the central and the state or the component unit are all under the what? The Constitution. Most of the time, a federal system is for an heterogeneous society. Heterogeneous. The word heterogeneous means a society with many culture, with many traditions, many histories, like Nigeria. Okay? A complex society. And it's also very good for a large society like Nigeria. And because of the largeness, the vastness of the size, and the largeness of the population, there's a need for what? A bicameral legislature for proper and adequate representation. Proper and adequate representation. In case nobody represented you at the Senate, somebody should represent you at the House of what? Representative. Or even at the House of Assembly of your states. And that is why we have bicameral legislature, where there are two houses, two chambers for lawmaking. The lower house and the what? Upper house. Also, for you to enjoy a federal system, there must be an independent and impartial judiciary. Because of the sharing of power between the central government and the component unit, there's always what? Rancor. There's always disagreement. And once there's a disagreement, either the central or the units, any of the units, can go to the court for interpretation of the Constitution. Okay? Something dramatic happened 2 or 3 years ago on the issue of VAT, value added tax. And the then River State Governor, Wike, who is now a Minister of Federal Capital, took the federal government of Boye to court, and he won on interpretation of who owns and who collects what? VAT, value added tax. That is why we need an independent judiciary to interpret the position, the spirit, and the letter of the Constitution when there's a disagreement between the central and, of course, the component units. Hope you got that very well. Let's see the next question before us from WAEC. Okay, this one says, explain the systems. Okay, yeah. Explain 5 functions of the executive in a modern states. Wow. Executive is one of the organs of government. You know, we have 3 organs of government: the legislature, the executive, and of course the judiciary. The legislature does what? Makes law. The executive does what? Enforces law. Judiciary does what? Interpret laws. So these are the 3 legs or the 3 components of any government. I used to write my own mathematics as this: G equals L plus E plus J. You understand? That's government. Huh? This is what somebody who understands the subject government will tell you. People just, because most of the time people misunderstood government to mean only the executive. That is the president and his ministers, because they are the one that we are seeing, not knowing that we have legislature that makes law, and judiciary that's always at the reserve bench to interpret the laws. Okay? Now, what are the functions of executive in a modern society, in a modern state? Of course, from that interpretation, the first and primary responsibility of the executive organ is to enforce the laws. Laws are made by legislature, and the executive is expected to enforce the law. For instance, we have the police. So the police is under the executive. They help to enforce the law within the society. And when you break such law, police are not supposed to what? To punish you. They get you arrested and they take you to the court, who will interpret the implication of the offense you have committed. Is that so in Nigeria? That's a question you can answer by yourself. Another function of the executive is formulation and implementation of policies. All governmental policies are made or formulated by the executive. Remember, the executive is the president, and its ministers. Or let me quickly say the presidency. Presidency. When we say the presidency, it means it's not just one man, the president, who is the top. It means the president, the vice president, all his ministers that he appointed, and of course his advisors. They are all within the presidency. Okay, so they are responsible for formulation and implementation of policies. Okay, then another function is direction of foreign affairs. They are the one to sit down to make our foreign policy. What is foreign policy? Foreign policy is a guideline, a principle that guides how a country relates with another country, other country in international community. Are you with me? Very well. So, executive does that. So we have the Foreign Affairs Ministry, headed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, appointed by Mr. President, who assists and guides and advises them on how to relate with other countries. At the moment, there's something funny happened recently, if you know, where the US President Trump is forming and threatening that he's going to invade Nigeria because there's Christian genocide. This shows there is a lacuna, a vacuum between Nigerian relationship with US. Because if there's proper relationship, it should not come up just like that in open space. There should have been form of dialogue and dialogue. If I was reading an article today, as I was coming to this studio for this session, on the composition of the members that went to US last week to speak with the US government on their attempt of coming to invade Nigeria to defend the Christians. And unfortunately for us, the composition was funny, very funny. The right people were not put in this composition that could reach out. And unfortunately for us, they could not even get to the top official in US. They could only meet with one, just a one-time congressman, a member of the lower chamber in US. What a shame. They couldn't even get access to the chief security advisor to the president, President Trump. They couldn't even get access to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in US, no, or National Security Advisor of US, no any top official they could get to, but an ordinary member, just like a member of House of Representatives, a whole delegate from the biggest country in Africa, Nigeria. What a shame. Anyway, I'm just telling you about direction about foreign affairs. Then the next one is preparation of the national budget. You see the reading budget every year. How implementable and how practicable are those budgets? We cannot say. Every year the government reads budget in trillions of naira. How effective are they? Are they getting down to affect the common man? I cannot say. You should be able to judge by yourself. That's political socialization. Okay? We call it cognitive, affective, and evaluative. Right? They also maintain law and order. These are basic functions or duties of the executive. And just also to add to these, executives are also responsible for appointing all governmental officials. The executive, Mr. President, does that, like appointment of ambassadors, of high commissioners to other countries, appointment of head of parastatals, public corporations, chairman, and what have you. All these are appointments done by the executive, and they submit the list to the legislature for approval. They are part of the functions of the executive. All right. In fact, most of the bills discussed in the National Assembly legislature bills, they are initiated by the government, which is what? The executive. So the executive also initiates bills for discourse in the House. All right. I hope you are rounded with these answers. Very well. Let's see the next question available for us from GCE WAEC. Discuss 5 causes of military intervention in Nigerian politics. Why did you think military intervened in Nigeria? In fact, we heard there was also another scare last month, just about 30 days ago, that there was a rumor of military intervention. About 14, 15 officers attempted to topple the government, the current government, but they were caught in the web and they were already answering with the defense headquarters. But the government didn't want us to know that this actually happened. If you have gone through a class of government, you will know that you have experienced several military interventions in this country. Why do you think they were in the Fourth Republic in Nigeria? Why do they call this republic Fourth Republic? Because of military intervention. Military broke our republics. We shouldn't have fourth or second or third or first republic. No. We should have first president, second president, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 20, just like we have in America. But because as we are starting, the military intervened. Again, they intervened. They intervened for the first time in 1966, in January 66. And then again and again and again. Within that 66 in July, they came back again, intervened against themselves, planning coup and counter-coups. And eventually when they left in 1979, after a long rule, left in 1979, gave power to the Sheikh Obasanjo. We thought they are gone. Unfortunately for us, about 4 years later, 33, they came back again through Boye. And they were there. Boye was there until then, Babangida until then, Abacha, Abdulsalam, and then they left finally in 1999. And that's what gave out to the Fourth Republic we are running. So from 1999 to date, till we are right now, we are still in Fourth Republic. We are hoping they will not come back. If they come back, that is the end of Fourth Republic. And when they leave again, we start Fifth Republic. That's how it goes. So now the question is, why did you think military intervened? And why do you think they are coming to power? Why? What were the reasons? What happened? What were the costs? What had the civilians done that made them to come to power? Huh? Very well. So let's see some of those causes identified. Number one is they claim there were electoral malpractices. And you and I know this is not new to Nigeria. Nigerian politicians are so desperate to be in power and to stay in power. Are you with me? And by so doing, they do all manner of drama in the form of electoral malpractices to get to power or to remain in power. Stealing of ballot boxes and whatever they want to do. They do all manner electoral malpractices, changing electoral results. You know? Two, corruption among politicians. I cannot just overemphasize this. Corruption at the highest level. Ethnic and religious conflict, which is happening right now. Politicians, when they want to steal money among themselves, they will not play this card. But when they want to create confusion among the people, they play the cards of ethnicity and religion. So as to deceive and to divert the attention of the people to what they are doing. So conflict. Weak political institutions are weak. Instead of having strong institutions like we have in America and other civilized countries, rather we have strong individuals. Instead of strong institutions, we have strong individuals. That's so bad. And that's why you can see somebody who call himself Minister of State, Minister of FCT, could be going about to monitor how they are demolishing people's houses. In other words, it seems that the embodiment, his personality is even bigger than the FCT itself. No. We should have strong institutions, not strong personality. Even our president, the Nigerian president, is too powerful. Mentioning the presidency alone is enough to make people to shiver. Then so much that even National Assembly have been pocketed. We should have strong institutions. National Assembly should be strong enough to be able to challenge the president when it's going wrong. And that is why they have the power to impeach the president. They do. When the president do anything that is unconstitutional. The constitution whereby the president becomes so strong, so powerful, quote and unquote, more than the constitution, then you can say anything goes. So weak political institutions was also one of the reasons why the military intervene in our politics. Another one is economic mismanagement. Civilians over the years have mismanaged the Nigerian economy to their own personal benefits, not for the benefit of the people. Okay, so These are some of the reasons. Oh, okay, we can also remember even the politics themselves, they have been politicized. They have been politicized. And because I've tasted power, they say power is sweet. And remember, power corrupt and absolute power corrupt. Absolutely. So they want to taste for power. They want to enjoy the flamboyancy in power, political power. So these are some of the reasons why the military intervened in Nigerian politics. Okay? I hope you're enjoying this session. Please share the channel, the link. Share with your friends so that they can enjoy what you're enjoying too, and they can learn. Okay? Yes, the next question we want to look at today is define public opinion and list 5 factors that influence it. These are also two-edged questions, a question with 2 answers. 1, you give definition of public opinion, and 2, you list 5 factors that has the capacity to influence public opinion. Look at the word public opinion. Huh? What is opinion? Opinion means views, idea. Huh? What is public? The people. So public opinion is people's opinion, majority opinion. What majority are saying about a particular policy or decision or action of government. That's what they call public opinion. Okay, let's look at it together. That's what we have here. Okay? Yeah, sorry for that. My system seems to be misbehaving. My keyboard. Okay? Yes. Public opinion is the collective views of citizens on political and social issues. What majority of the people are saying, collective majority. Remember, in democracy, majority carry the votes. What the majority are saying concerning what? Issues in politics, in social, in economic space. That's public opinion. One major factor that will influence that is education. Your level of education will affect your level of logical reasoning and your ability to contribute intellectually to what? Public debate and public discussions. Education. Yeah? Another factor is media. Your access to media to access information about policies, about actions and decisions of government will also help you to form your own idea, your own opinion. And then when you express it in a public space, it becomes what? A public opinion. Then religion. Religion also have a great influence on the people. Remember, religion is the opium of the people. Also a way of shaping opinion of the people. How people think and what they say and how they live and how they behave. Economic condition. Your status also affects your opinion. There's this popular saying that when big men are talking, poor men do what? Keep quiet, keep silent. So your status, your economic status, in a way or in a sense, also help to shape your opinion in the public space. All right? So let's look at the next question. Explain 5 functions of the legislature. We just did that for the executive. Now this legislature are the lawmakers, the National Assembly as we call them in Nigeria, the Congress as they are called in the US. Of course, their primary duty is to what? Is to make laws. Make laws for the betterment of the society. Make law for the peaceful coexistence of the people in the states. They also approve all government budgets. When executive makes budget, quote and unquote, in a sense, when we say government, people see government as the executive, right? In quote. So when budgets are prepared by the executive, they submit it to what? To the legislature for approval. I also mentioned earlier when I was talking about executive, the executive did all the appointments in government. But all these appointments must be submitted to who? The legislature for what? For approval. Legislature approve. Even when the ministers when the president appoints ministers that will work with him, he's expected to submit the list to the National Assembly, legislature, particularly the Senate, to approve it. When President appoints ambassadors to represent Nigeria in different countries in the world, submit the list to who? To the National Assembly, legislature, particularly the Senate, to do what? To approve those lists. Okay? What again did they do, or are they doing, the legislature? They check the executive through oversight function. If you have come across one of the principles of government called what? Checks and balance. Checks and balance. Checks and balance is a principle of government that contradicts separation of power as well as complements separation of power, in the sense that it created opportunity for the three organs of government to check themselves so as to avoid arbitrary use of power. So none of them will become too powerful. None of them will become above the law. So they need to check themselves. And the special power given to the legislature is called Act or Parliament. They won't give it to executives veto power. They won't give it to judiciary judicial review. So with this review, judiciary can check legislature, check executive. And whatever laws they must have made, they can declare such law null and void, which means illegal and inconsistent with the spirit and the letter of the Constitution. That's the power of review. Huh? Very well. With this Act of Parliament, the legislature can make any law. And with this power, the legislature can do what we call oversight function. What is oversight function? It is a session where the legislature from time to time can invite the ministers. Remember, the ministers are the cabinets that work with the government. They work with the government, right? So the legislature can invite them to ask them questions over their portfolios, their responsibility. Oh, Minister of Power, you have been given so billions of naira to improve electricity supply in Nigeria. But Nigerian people are still complaining there's no power. Well, how can you justify the money that the president or the executive has given to you, apportioned to your ministry to generate power? That is question time. It's like an oversight time. Even National Assembly members, they can put themselves in a group as a committee, we have many committees in the House, and they go from time to time to perform oversight functions on parastatals. What are parastatals? Government-owned businesses, public corporations. They visit them to perform monitoring and oversight functions. That's the legislature for you. Then we are ratifying treaties. Any treaties means agreement. Treaties means agreement, charter. All right? Any agreement Nigeria is having with another country, written by the executive, led by the president, they must submit it to the National Assembly for ratification. The word ratification means approval. Are you with me? Very well. Then they also represent the interests of the people. In fact, there's a language we use in government. We say the legislature are the mouthpiece of the people. They are the mouthpiece because they are seen as a representative of the people. So they speak on behalf of the people. They are supposed to be the mouthpiece of the people. Whether they are in Nigeria, I don't know. Oftentimes they speak for themselves, for their own pockets, rather than speaking for you and I. Okay? Anyway, these are the functions of the legislature as an organ of government. Okay? Let's see another question available for us here. From WAEC GCE. Highlight 5 features. Remember I told you before, features means characteristics, elements, all right, of authoritarianism. Look at authoritarianism. Authoritarianism is a form of totalitarianism. It is a system of government where the leader seems to be above the law. The leader can do and undo. The leader has what? Unlimited, unrestricted power. And nobody can challenge him. That's an authoritarian. And it can also be known as what? A dictatorship. A dictator. Or a tyrannic government. Or a tyrannic leader. A totalitarian. Where all powers is accumulated to just one person. Okay? So let's see some of the features. So what will happen when you have something like this? When somebody becomes also powerful, unchallengeable, uncheckable, unlimited power, what will happen? What are the features? What are the elements of such person or such state or such society? Let's see. The first person you notice that there's concentration of power in one ruler. One person arrogate power to himself and become all powerful. Or it could just be power given to very small group, like in a communist state. If you remember of Hitler, that brought fascism, Nazism in Germany, as a follow-up to fascism in Italy. Okay, so small group arrogating power to themselves, like communist states, communism. Okay, or one person, an authority, a dictator that became so powerful. Remember somebody they call dictator in Nigeria, Sani Abacha, one of the past military leader in Nigeria. Okay, what other element do we know about authoritarian? There's limited political freedom. You don't enjoy freedom. Your freedom is restricted, it's limited to the limit to which the state or the leader gives. Because the leader dictates how far the freedom can be enjoyed. Absence of free election. No, there can't be free and fair election in such a state. Because the procedure and protocols of elections will be dictated by just one person. I remember what happened then before the death of Abacha, when 5 political parties were created. I think that was in 1990, after this month. I think it was 95 or something about, when 5 political parties were created, and shockingly and surprisingly, 5 of them chose Sani Abacha as their presidential candidate for a forthcoming election. What the hell? So at that time, I was not saying, what's the need for election? If we have 5 parties created by government, and 5 of them have already chosen Abacha as their presidential candidate. What's the need for election? That is element of what? Concentration of power in the hand of one person. Huh? What? Before the elections now, you know what happened to him? It was no more. Then there's strict control of media. Media are subjected to what? Censorship. That's what they call press censorship. Strict monitoring of the media. For instance, I was told in North Korea, John Kim monitors all the activities of the media. They can't just give any news in that country, North Korea, unless they want approved by the government. That is element of what? Authoritarianism. There's also with judiciary. Judiciary cannot just uncheck or overrule decisions of the leader, the authoritarian leader. So these are elements of what? Of an authoritarian system of government or leader. Okay, let's see another one. Wow. State and explain 5 challenges facing the civil service in Nigeria. Look at it. These are also 2-edged questions. 1, state it. How do you state? 1, this, 2, this, 3, this, 4, this, 5, this. They say 5. And then what do? You now explain. Number 1, you explain it. Number 2, you explain it. That's how you present your answer. You get a complete point for the answer. Okay? So let's see. What are the challenges? What challenges mean problems, evils that befall or bedeviling the civil service in Nigeria? You know, civil service. The civil service in Nigeria is a branch of executive that help the executive to carry out their functions and duties. So let's see some of these challenges or problems. The first thing is political interference. The politicians will not allow the civil service to do their work in the right way. The civil service has also been professional, they're experts in their field. And the government, politicians, rely heavily on them to carry out their function because they are experienced in governance. They are experienced in policy making. They are experienced in policy execution, which politicians are not. But the politician will always interfere in this process and procedure and protocols. There's also heavy corruption. In fact, it is the civil service that help politicians to steal and to cover the steal. They help them to hide their loot. They share the loot. And that's why you can see a member of civil servants, the ordinary civil servant, become so rich. How much is their salary? How did they get their words? Because they share the loot with the politician. They eat together and dine together. Because they're working together. Inadequate training. They expect to be having constant and updated training from time to time. But is this so? No. I think it's still because of corruption. Because most of the time, this money were allocated for their trainings. But somebody will not release the money. Or somebody will divide it for himself and go abroad to go and do his own training at the expense of many other civil servants. Poor remuneration, they're not being paid well. And because they're not being paid well, the attitude to work is very bad. It's not my father's work, my government work. Some of them open shops out. They share their working hours between the office and their shops. All manner of things happen in the public space. Some don't go to work every day. And it is like a cartel, they cover up themselves. Poor remuneration can also make people not to put all their best into a particular job. Red tapeism and delays. This is what they call bureaucratic bottleneck. Bureaucratic bottleneck. There's always long protocol, long process of getting anything done, any policy to be made in government. Process upon process, taking file from table to table, from person to person. Red tapeism, delays in making decisions. These are also part of the problems in civil service. Let me see, as we are about to round up, let's look at this particular question. This question 9. Describe. Question 9. Describe the functions of political parties in a democracy. You know political parties now, a group of people that come together under a given emblem. What is emblem? Emblem is a logo, a sign. A logo, a sign, a symbol. They have a symbol, under which symbol they contest with the aim of winning the election and, of course, controlling governmental powers, thereby displaying or carrying out their manifesto. What is their manifesto? Their manifestos are their what? Their programs, their agenda, the plan, the promises they make to the people. And most of the time they don't do it. Especially in Nigeria. Anyway, let's see. 5 functions of political parties in a democracy. Let's see. The first one, they contest for election, but that's what they know. And now if you notice in Nigerian political parties, the only thing they know is contesting for election every 4 years. Now, by next year, they start beating from December, they start beating the drums. They start coming, those politicians that you voted for in 2023, that they have run away to Abuja, to whatever they are, to cities. From next year, they'll start coming back to you again. With their lages, rice, small change, then some foodstuff, Gary, just to appease you again. Another election is coming again. They want you to vote for them. The only thing they know is just election upon election. It's not their business now. It's a work. It's a shop in Nigeria. Recruitment and training of leaders. Political parties is a platform for recruiting and training leaders. They grow from there, from local government to state to federal. That way, it's grow along the line. Contest for councillorship, they contest for chairman, contest for House of Assemblies, and then Senate, and then House of Rep and President from the political parties. They educate the voters, they tell us the direction. As in INEC, the Electoral Commission is doing their own, political parties also doing their own. They educate voters. And then they aggregate interests. They put into, remember that they are a group of people that come from different backgrounds. Not just simply different backgrounds. They have common interests. They aggregate interests to come together to contest for election. And then they formulate policies. Eventually, when they win the election, they formulate policies for the government. The last question we are going to attend to today, with the limit of our time, is identify 5 reasons for the failure of the second republics in Nigeria. I told you that we had republics. We shouldn't be having this. We should just have a running government, but we have supreme republic. Anyway, for your republics, we had, let me quickly remind you of republics. The first republic was 1960 to 63 to 66. Okay? Second republic, 1979 to 1983. Third republic was aborted June 12, 1993. and Fourth Republic is where we are right now, 1999 to date. Okay, now you are wondering, why did I write this? It will take only a government student to understand this. 60, 63, 66. Why? Because within 60 and 63, we are still operating independence constitution. And that constitution still recognized the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth of England then, as our what? Head of state. So the person who was acting on his behalf, Nnamdi Azikiwe, was seen as what? A governor general, not a president. So Zik was not a president in 1960. He was a governor general. The person who was controlling the government was a prime minister, Tafawa Balewa. But when we wrote a new constitution in 1963, we call it Republican Constitution. That constitution says that the Queen ceased to be our head of state. The head of state is now Nnamdi Azikiwe, no longer a governor general, but a ceremonial president, while Balewa remained what? The prime minister. So you can see. So that's why we 66. 60 gave us independent constitution, while we're still under British, even though we're independent. Republicans separated us. The umbilical cord was cut off. Now we're not republics. That was our head leader is representing us. That's what we had before the military intervened. Like I told you earlier, they intervened 66, January 15, and then you were there until 79 through Olusegun Obasanjo military left and gave power to what? Shehu Shagari. So we are talking about the Second Republic, the failure of Second Republic, the failure of Alhaji Shehu Shagari. His failure, the failure because he was one that was a president between 79 and 83. That was Second Republic. What was the failure? Let's look at that within the time of it. There was massive corruption. Oh wow, oh my. There was massive corruption during that government. It was the government where it was recorded that people used Babariga to carry money. People got pregnant with money with Babariga. You know Babariga? That big cloth that brother they used to wear. They would pack money inside and their tummy would shoot out. They thought they would grow, their tummy grow overnight. No, it's money that they packed inside. Massive corruption. Electoral fraud, particularly 1983. In 1983, when there was a general election between MPN of Shagari and UPN of Awolowo and GMPP, PRP, GMPP of Nnamdi Azikiwe, you know, and Aminu Kano and what have you. Awolowo assumed that they won that election. UPN won the election. They went to cover, they lost. And it was part of the crisis of that 1983 general election that brought in what Buhari military government back to power. The crisis. Okay? Electoral fraud, manipulations, economic decline. Nigeria was not doing well. Economically, ethnic politics took over the reign within that period. And eventually, the military came to power December 31st, 1983, through Buhari, the late Buhari. This Buhari again that came back as a civilian. Buhari Jagun government, December 31st, 1983. Viewers, I hope you have enjoyed yourself today. Please share this link with your friends so they can enjoy what you have learned also. And if you have further clarifications or questions, send to us. We shall get back to you. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the content you just watched. To see more episodes as that, preparing you for your oncoming exams, smash the subscribe button on this channel right now and visit the playlist that we've made for you, covering over 50 types of different exams, including JAMB, WAEC, Kakao,